Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Sports Inc. Along with Mark Gerger, I'm Scott Taylor. Let's jump right into the football action from last week. Mark, you were at the game of the week that featured Notre Dame was hosting Joliet Catholic. Turned out to be a little bit of a blowout. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was. Malin Jones for second week in a row was keyed on. He had a little bit of cramping issues, but for second week in a row, Ty Isaac just took control of the game. 10 carries, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns. Malin added 3 of his own. He only had 9 carries for 72 yards. So the two featured tailbacks only needed 19 carries combined to get 5 touchdowns, and Malin had 1 through the air. Just like the end of the game against Carmel, the end of the half, Malin caught a big touchdown pass to win that one. Game was early on. It was close. 14-0 JCA. Notre Dame was driving. Looked like they had a chance to punch it in and possibly cut that 14-7 before half. They went for it on a 4th down and got a sack in the next big play.
Who's your go-to player this year, Malin Jones or Ty Isaac?
I still think Malin's a senior. I still think he's the guy that the teams are keying on him. Maybe I can open a little more for Ty. As teams now see what Ty is doing, they're gonna have to play a little bit more even keel. And once they do that, Malin's gonna get his games with his big yards. There's no doubt in my mind that he still is gonna put up some big numbers this year. Obviously, I wasn't the only football game this week. You had a little more, bit of a close game with Lockport and Plainfield North.
It's a great game. It's like I predicted. I said overtime. I was almost there. Ted Snedenko blocked a punt in the 4th quarter there that led to a touchdown drive to finish the game off for Lockport in 28-21 win over Plainfield North. Plainfield North drove right back down the field the first possession. Looked like they were going to dominate the game. But then defenses took over for a little bit, and then all of a sudden in the second half the teams opened it up, and it was quite a pretty exciting game. I think both teams are solid playoff teams this year. How far they're going to go, neither of them have the size, I think, to really contend for anything. But they both have athletes. Jay Roberts, a solid running back for North, and Dexter Taylor. I was really impressed with him. Shifty running back. I don't know how much power he's got, but he's really got the shiftiness and he made a nice run one way and ran all the way back the other way and gained like 30, 40 yards. So, it was a fun game to watch, and it was a great outcome.
With Plainfield North this year, losing Capri Bibbs from last year, who was a 35-40 carry a game guy. This year, they have Roberts, they have Kurt Paladak, quarterback. Is it a little bit more, I guess, defense have to be a little bit more, leery about where the ball's going to go because you don't know what's going to Capri Bibbs, 4 times a game?
I think, this might be a bold statement, but I think the Plainfield North offense is very nearly as good as they were last year. I think, obviously, Bibbs losing him, Jay Roberts is no Capri Bibbs. That's nice running back, no Capri Bibbs. But Kurt Palandek, what he can do with his legs and his arm, very smart quarterback for only being a junior in his first year. He threw for 180-some yards and ran for another 40. 3rd and 24 from your 34. Next 2 plays, he ran 34 yards for a touchdown, including 4th and 10. This kind of shows you what he can do. And I think teams can't key on one thing or the other. And I really think that's going to make them a dangerous team throughout the year. And the defense was better than we thought they would be, even though they had some troubles tackling. But losing all those defensive players, too, they just keep regrowing that team over there.
You mentioned Lockport too. They're a running team this year. With Brett Coy leaving.
1950s.
Brett Coy was definitely a air out passing guy. Now they're in the JCA double wing, huh?
Yeah, it's not getting mistaken for JCA though. I mean, these running backs are not Ty Isaac or Malin Jones, although they do have several nice guys.
Right? Yeah, like 5 or 6 back.
Several nice guys that spread around, and you don't know who's got the ball sometimes. Kind of like Bolingbrook last week, I saw we didn't know if Aaron Bailey kept it sometimes or one of the running backs had it. You don't know who's going to get the ball, and that makes it difficult for defenses. But the passing game, they had to show more of a passing attack, I think, because Lincoln Way East is not going to let them run like that against them. So time will tell if they can get a passing game going. But I think playoffs is a very safe goal.
You mentioned Bolingbrook. There were some games that we just couldn't get to. Bolingbrook had a 4-hour trip down to Belleville East. Obviously, we weren't able to make that. They come out with a big 39-19 winner over a team that beat them handily last year and got deep in the playoffs. And a game that also unfortunately we weren't at. Probably the most exciting game of the week was the Plainfield Central, huh?
Yeah, Plainfield Central. 5 seconds left in the game. St. Charles North decides to punt the ball. You can't take a safety up by 1 point. So I understand that, but 5 seconds left, can't you run around for 5 seconds to get your athlete back there and let him at the 8-yard line, let him run around and just fall down at the 1-yard line? I mean, that seems like it makes perfect sense to me. But credit John Jackson, he got his kids to fight hard, and I heard from a couple of Plainfield Central people that they never gave up, even when it looked like 50 seconds left and they gave up the ball. They fought, they got the block punt, and they win the game. That's a huge start for them to go 2-0, and we both predicted it and didn't go that way, but they dominated that game, so it proved that they're better than 5 points better than St. Charles North.
And the fumble recovery happens to come from Gino Geritano, who had a big game rushing the ball anyway, huh?
Yeah, he had 140 yards rushing, and then recovered the block punt from Douglas, who blocked it. So it was a big game for them. It was a must-win for the SPC because they really took it down the chin in a couple of games. So it was good for them to get it back in that win.
Also, we had Maine South, who went in and hosted Wheaton Warrenville South. And I picked the Tigers in this one. You picked the Hawks, and the Hawks came out in a really tight game, 13-9. Yes, Maine South. We talked about this in the office. They beat Wheaton South, who was a champion last year. Do you still see that four-peat?
Let me tell you, it's not a sophomore. They say sophomore slumps. This is technically his junior year, but it's his sophomore year as far as starting quarterback. Is LV in a little bit of a slump? I mean, tough competition, yes, but he hasn't thrown for a lot of yards in 2 games. I mean, compared to the numbers he was putting up last year. The offense has not clicked to form yet. They have all these guys back from last year. Is it 2 tough opponents? Could be. Obviously, Wheaton Warrenville South has a good defense.
Right.
But I think Maine South's defense is gonna carry them pretty far this year. I know you have different thoughts though.
So I mean, do you see the four-piece still at the end of the year? You think they're raising that 4th trophy?
I still think it's going to be hard to stop them, but I think we even have a couple teams in our coverage area that could compete with them.
Well, that's the thing. I think the team that is going to be raising that 8A trophy at the end of the year is Bolingbrook. I think the Raiders are on task. They're on point.
Not enough skill.
The defense is as good as you're going to find in the area. Led by Antonio Morrison, who's as good of a player as you're going to get. And over at the offensive side, Aaron Bailey, who if he stays healthy is one of the best players in the state of Illinois. You have a backfield of a stable running backs backfield, and you have receivers all over the field. They got guys all over the place. I think that this Bolingbrook team, with all said and done, will get John Avalo his state title here with the Raiders.
Well, time will tell on that. I mean, they are a nice team. I don't know if they have enough skill players. They have enough talented players, athletic players, but do they have skill? Do they know how to execute and not just count on their athleticism when they're playing against the Maine South caliber team? That's the question I have about them. We'll find out about that. And there was more than football that went on. A lot of sports went on. And timeout.
We got it.
Okay.
Good.
Where should I start out, man?
More than football.
I don't know how much they heard from the background to begin with. You hear them talking the whole time, opening and closing the door.
That's right. I mean, if you go from,
Okay.
it's go from more than football.
There's more than football though that we played this past week, including some cross country action in the very, very hot conditions on Saturday. You saw a few of our teams play or compete. How do you think they did?
I saw Niles West and Bolingbrook. Minooka was out there. I think all 3 teams this year are going to be respectable again. I think Bolingbrook's really getting starting to build that program. They have some good young kids. They have some other guys and girls. They have a couple leaders. And I think they're starting to build that program. Niles West the same thing. The girls side struggled a little bit, but they're going to get there. And the guys have a couple top notch runners up at the top there who are going to get through with them. And Minooka's Minooka. They're always going to be good. The Heat and the Hills over at the Hinsdale Central invite there in Burr Ridge. I mean, it was a hilly course. The Heat, Heat and the Hills play some factors there, but all in all, I think our teams this year are going to be solid again. You saw some of our top teams there with Lockport and Plainfield East made a big splash.
Yeah, you talked about Plainfield East it's going to be a good team this year. And I said, well, I know they had a couple guys back, and they proved to go on. They won the Plainfield Central invite, and they had their guy that made the state last year, Petrusic, didn't even finish in the top 5. They had freshmen take 5th place, and they had a couple other guys step up, and this team looks like a team that's going to compete for a state spot this year, which would be huge for Plainfield East because they haven't had a team qualify for state yet in their third varsity year now. So that'd be good to see. They impressed me a lot, and obviously Lockport had an individual champion on the boys' side. They're going to be tough. I don't know if all their top runners raced or not, but they took 3rd overall. And on the girls' side, Lockport's still going to be strong. They have Megan O'Brien back and Steph Sanders, and they're going to be tough to beat. And they stayed in a pack for a while, so their times are going to be a lot better than they were. It was just a welcome back meet. 2nd place though, Plainfield Central. They have aspirations of state this year as well, and I think they can get it done. They have 3 girls to place in the top 20, and you add a couple other girls that are in the 20s, and that's 5 solid scores. If you can get consistency, even if they don't have a top runner, which right now they don't have that top 10 kind of runner, but if you can get 5 scores that are pretty close and they can stay in that pack, challenge each other during the year, they're going to drop some times. They could be a team to watch out for to make the state as well.
Well, next week we'll have some more cross country, some soccer, and a whole lot more, and plus a whole slate of football games again. So until then, keep watching and make sure you tune in on Thursday evening for our football pick'em show.